Hello, Sagittarius, Sagittarius Rising, and Sagittarius Moon people. This is your weekly astrological and card horoscope for the week starting April 17th, 2017. And a quick reminder for you guys, I'm going to be putting up a new special video on the Venus retrograde shadow period. Venus will be going direct after the 15th, and what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks according to different families of signs, cardinal, mutable, and fixed. So you are a mutable sign, and so there will be some things, kind of how do we take advantage of this period of Venus kind of going through her detox, going through her recovery phase until we get into May. We want to have a good talk about that, and we will. So, what is going on with your astrology this week? Well, Sagittarius, this week when it comes to your astrology, we've got a lot of good. Alright, in the beginning of the week, we've got the Sun in your 5th house of love, romance, and your relationships with your kids, forming a charming angle to Saturn, currently retrograde in your sign. And you may find out that a child or a lover helps you really get over some kind of complex or some kind of rule or expectation or cultural agreement from your past that you know is totally toxic. And sometimes that happens, whether it's because our parents drilled it into our heads, or a school teacher, or, a religion, or whatever. There's something that really does kind of mess with our heads a little bit when it comes to things that are just sort of, again, programmed in. And a lover or, even one of your kids may actually just sort of help dispel or clear this. Saturn retrograde in your sign is asking you to reevaluate and change certain rules that you think you should follow, or rules that you put in place. Why are those rules there? Good thing we have love, again, either a child or a lover, or maybe even just a crush, who comes in and kind of challenges our beliefs on exactly. So why is this important? Is it just because it was always there? Is it tradition? Is it chain of command? Are those ever really good enough? Later on in the week, we do have the Sun moving into Taurus, into your 6th house of work, reputation, and physical health, where it will connect to Mercury currently retrograde in this area. And Mercury retrograde in this area and the Sun are allowing you an opportunity to go back to either an old workplace or an old schedule, should you choose to make that happen. Maybe you've tried something new, you're not happy with it. Maybe we've tried something to flip around with and we're just not pleased with it. And we want to be able to go back to a place where we feel more at home. That is feasible at this time. We also have the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in your reputation sector, something coming back from your past that, somebody discovered. Maybe they discovered something cool on your resume, or something you were really, really popular for, or maybe you were really, really well known for in months and years past. And we have an opportunity to relive some glory days, which would be very nice. So what's going on with your cards? Well, for your spiritual advice, we do have the card of the Solitary. And again, this week is all about paying attention to where you need to be okay with putting yourself first, and not just in a sense with other people, but again, even reevaluating what your value system is. Are they your values, or are they values that you were told were important, but it wasn't ever originally conceived in you? Because sometimes we want to be loyal to somebody, so we take on their values. That's not really actually how it's supposed to work. And the Solitary can say dedication and self-love comes from, okay, I need to reevaluate this. What is in me? Sometimes, the rules we spout are, it's kind of thinking, they always say, I open my mouth, sometimes my dad pops out, or sometimes my mom pops out, or something like that. That's a sign that it's not us. And so this week is going to be all about paying attention to where all of those influences end and you begin, before you start making your serious moves. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Four of Cups, reversed. Again, shaking things up in terms of schedule, and shaking things up in terms of your workload, but with the Four of Cups reversed, I think that this might be exactly what the doctor ordered, because it looks like a lot of people are going to be asking you to take on a special task or a special project that they know that only you have expertise in, and this may actually involve, again, you pulling in skills that don't come out on the job. For those of you who are currently looking for new work, the Four of Cups reverse says you will find a place in an industry that you didn't know was actually able to hire you for the position or for the experience that you have. Sometimes we only think, we pigeonhole ourselves into certain industries, whether it's the service industry, or maybe it's, a tech industry or something like that. We kind of pigeonhole ourselves because we think, well, that's what, my training is in a position that you normally see there. There may be a pleasant surprise going on. Either way, with the Four of Cups reversed, this shake-up will be profitable. For your communications with air, when it comes to your friends, your relatives, the others in your life, we have the Queen of Cups upright. So it looks like we may be actually having some kind of really close bonding moment with a water sign, most likely female, a Cancer, Pisces, or a Scorpio, or somebody with those qualities, who is basically here to kind of translate for you what is going on with somebody else that you're having a problem with. Now, she's not being a busybody. It could be a he, to be frank, but I am holding a queen. But, if we're trying to figure somebody out, or we need help patching something up with somebody who, we're really close with, we don't, it's not a, we're trying to figure out how to help somebody. The Queen of Cups upright is kind of going to be the medium, kind of do the translating between the two of you. If you've been having trouble with a friend or a family member or even a lover, this third-party assistance could be crucial, or they may be giving you information that that other person just doesn't know how to phrase, doesn't feel inclined or capable of articulating, or is too embarrassed to say out loud. So, we're making some headway here. For your challenge this week with fire, we do have the Five of Wands upright. The Five of Wands upright is your challenge. Basically says, Sagittarius, it's time to put your, to start throwing your weight around a little bit more, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and compete. The Five of Wands upright can warn us against too much passivity, and possibly taking too much of a laid-back attitude. And it usually doesn't necessarily say, like, oh, you're going to get punished for it, but don't be surprised when competitors show up, whether it's for, again, a work situation, a recreational opportunity, maybe it's a love opportunity. But, competition does show up every once in a while. The Five of Wands upright as a challenge can also indicate needing to acknowledge when maybe a group of friends are not as close as we thought they were, and there might be an underlying reason why we're all fighting, why we're all arguing, why some people are taking distance, and how are we going to make the peace there? If we're not qualified to make the peace there, appoint someone who can. For your emotions with water and your romantic life, we do have the Seven of Cups, reversed. Very nice card indeed, especially for those of you looking to have those discussions about getting a relationship more solid or on solid ground, maybe even making some kind of long-term commitment or promise that will stand the test of time. Now, I don't normally like the word commitment because it's a loaded statement with about 50 different definitions, and most of the time people just hide behind that. I don't like that, but the Seven of Cups reverse can indicate commitment. Commitment in the sense of devoting one's time, energy, and focus to this intention, to the exclusivity of other opportunities. And this is definitely where you and your partner or you and your crush are going to be this week. Now, if it's you and your partner, you're already together, you're already married, we're already at that place, this could indicate finally settling down and actually, maybe even fulfilling a promise that we made to each other or to ourselves that we have not been able to enact in quite some time. Maybe it was something we put up on, on a high-up shelf, and we just could not even get to it for whatever reason. We have a chance to get that started this week. So that is your horoscope, Sagittarius. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.